It started on a rainy Thursday morning, the kind of rain that doesn't wash away dirt, just spreads it thinner. A man in a faded purple coat stood outside Gotham Premier Motors, staring at the showroom glass. His reflection smiled back, a pale face, cracked lips, green hair slicked by the rain. But behind that smile, there was something broken, something calculating. Inside the glass, rows of luxury cars gleamed like trapped dreams. Bentleys, Jaguars, BMWs. The kind of dreams people sold their souls for. The kind of dreams that were stolen from him. The automatic doors hissed open as he stepped in. The scent of polish and arrogance filled the air. Every man inside wore a suit that screamed success. Every woman smiled like they had something to sell, even their sympathy. The man approached the counter, dripping water onto the marble floor. "Can I help you, sir?" the receptionist asked, eyeing him up and down, like a stain on glass. He tilted his head slightly. "Yeah," he said softly, that familiar rasp in his voice. "You could say that. I'm here to see the manager." Moments later, a man with slick hair and a gold watch came striding out. The kind who shakes hands only with people who can afford it. "Sir, we don't entertain, walk-ins like this," the manager said, wrinkling his nose. "This is a premium establishment." The man in the purple coat chuckled, low and hollow. "Premium, huh? You sell cars or you sell pride?" The manager's eyes hardened. "Look, clown." The word froze the air. "You need to leave now before I call security." The man's grin widened. "Oh, I do love security. They make me feel safe." But he didn't move. He just looked around the showroom as if memorizing every corner, every car, every face. Then suddenly his tone shifted. "You know," he said softly, almost kindly, "once upon a time I sold cars here, right on this floor, before your little empire bought the place and threw everyone out." The manager frowned, unsure if he was joking. "Yeah? And I'm supposed to care because—" The man leaned in close, too close. "Because, darling," he whispered, "you threw out the wrong clown." The security guards arrived, their boots echoing on the marble as they grabbed him by the arms. The manager smirked. "Get him out! Freaks like him scare the customers." They dragged the man outside, the rain drenching his laughter. But as they let him fall to the curb, he kept laughing, harder and louder, the sound echoing off the cars and glass until it didn't sound human anymore. And when he finally stopped, he looked up at the dealership's shining sign, Gotham Premier Motors, and smiled faintly. "See you soon," he whispered. That night, as the lights inside the dealership flickered and the rain grew heavier, the manager received a call from the company's headquarters. A new investor had bought the entire dealership chain. Anonymous, paid in full, effective immediately. The next morning, a black car pulled up in front of the showroom. The same man stepped out, purple coat dry this time, smile sharper than ever. The receptionist froze. The manager's face went pale. He walked in, slow, calm, confident. "Good morning, everyone," he said, sliding a black envelope onto the counter. "From now on, I'll be running things a little differently." The manager stammered, "Who the hell are you?" The man's grin widened, and his eyes, those haunted, clever eyes, met his. "Me?" he said softly. "I'm your new owner." He leaned closer, whispering, "Remember me now." And just like that, the real story began. The dealership was silent that morning. Even the hum of the showroom lights seemed nervous. The staff stood in uneasy rows, eyes darting between one another as the man in the purple coat strolled past them, slow, deliberate, as if tasting their fear. He didn't need to announce himself. The atmosphere did that for him. Every step echoed with the memory of laughter that had been thrown out, mocked, humiliated, and had come back wearing a crown. The manager, Mr. Dalton, tried to compose himself, straightening his tie as he forced a smile. Mr. Joker, right? I assume this is all a misunderstanding? The man turned toward him, tilting his head in that eerie, curious way. Oh, it's not a misunderstanding, Mr. Dalton. It's a miracle, and miracles, you see, he leaned in, lowering his voice, are just tragedies in disguise. He brushed past Dalton and walked into the glass office, Dalton's office, without asking permission. He sat in the leather chair, spun it once, and sighed. Comfy. Smells like greed. I'll keep it. Dalton's jaw clenched, but he stayed silent. The staff whispered among themselves. Nobody knew who this man really was, but something in his voice, in his eyes, told them he wasn't bluffing. Joker looked around the office, running a gloved finger over a framed photo on the desk. Dalton shaking hands with the previous owner. You know, he said, his tone suddenly nostalgic, I remember when this place was different. No gold watches, no fancy suits, no lies wrapped in smiles, just people trying to make a living. You changed that, didn't you? Dalton swallowed hard. Business is business. The oldest excuse for cruelty, Joker whispered. He put the frame down gently, then leaned back, eyes half closed. Tell me, Dalton, when you fired me 3 years ago, did you at least laugh about it afterward? Maybe poured yourself a drink, said, good riddance to that weirdo. Dalton froze. Wait, I've never seen you before. The Joker's eyes flickered open, sharp and glacial. Of course you haven't. That's the thing about people like you. You never see anyone until they're standing above you. He smiled faintly, tapping the desk with his gloved fingers. You might not remember my face, but you remember the name Arthur Leigh. Sales associate, 5 years. Fired after your little policy restructuring. Dalton's mouth opened, then closed. The name clicked, slowly, terribly. Joker chuckled. There it is. Recognition. It's like watching guilt come to life. He stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city. After you kicked me out, I lost everything. My apartment, my savings, my mind. I tried to start over, but Gotham doesn't forgive the poor. It feeds on them, so I stopped asking for forgiveness. He turned, eyes burning with quiet fire. I started asking for power instead. The silence in the room was heavy. Every employee could hear their own heartbeat. Dalton finally spoke, voice trembling. Look, I didn't mean anything personal. It was just... Business, Joker interrupted softly. Yes, I know. That's why I'm here, to conduct a little business of my own. He walked back to the desk, opened the black envelope, and tossed a set of documents in front of Dalton. Effective immediately, all employees stay. Except one. Dalton blinked. Who? Joker grinned. You. Dalton's voice cracked. You can't just... Oh, but I can, Joker said, tone shifting to playful menace. See, the papers are signed, sealed, and paid for. This empire is mine, and as for you, consider this my version of restructuring. Dalton's face turned red, rage spilling over his fear. You're insane! You think you can just walk in here and... Joker slammed his palm on the desk, the laughter gone from his voice. I didn't walk in, Dalton. I earned my way back. Every cent, every connection, every step through the filth of this city led me right back to you. He leaned closer, whispering, You built a tower on the backs of broken people. I'm just here to show you what it looks like when it falls. Dalton's voice dropped to a whisper. You'll regret this. Joker's grin widened again, soft and chilling. I already did. That's why I'm doing it. He turned to the receptionist, his tone suddenly cheerful. Oh, and, darling, please escort Mr. Dalton out. He doesn't seem to understand our new company values. Dalton was trembling with rage and humiliation as he was led outside. The staff watched silently. None dared to meet Joker's eyes. As Dalton reached the door, Joker called out, "Hey, Dalton!" The man stopped, his reflection trembling in the glass door. "You forgot something." Joker tossed him the photo frame, the one from his desk. It shattered at Dalton's feet. "Now you've got nothing but yourself to sell," Joker said, voice calm. "Let's see who buys it." The door closed. Rain began again. The staff turned toward Joker, waiting, uncertain whether they should fear or follow him. He smiled, walking back into the office. "Now," he said softly, "let's make this place honest." But as he sat down, the lights flickered, once, twice, then went out completely. The hum of electricity died, replaced by the faint echo of a voice from the darkness. A voice Joker hadn't heard in years. "Arthur, is that really you?" Joker froze. The voice was familiar, soft, trembling, and it was coming from the intercom. He leaned forward, eyes narrowing, the grin fading. "Mom?" The lights flickered once more before humming back to life. The entire showroom bathed again in the sterile glow of white light. But Joker didn't move. He sat perfectly still, eyes fixed on the intercom, like it had just spoken a ghost into existence. "Arthur," the voice crackled again, softer this time. "You shouldn't have come back." His fingers trembled. The name, Arthur, was something no one had called him in years, not since he buried that version of himself under layers of madness and paint. He swallowed, staring at the black button on the intercom, his reflection fractured in the glass panel beside it. "Who is this?" he asked quietly. Static answered, then a faint breath, then, "It's me, honey. It's your mother." He blinked, once, twice. His smile faltered. "That's impossible," he muttered, standing up. "She's dead." The receptionist, confused, stepped forward. "Sir." "Something wrong?" He waved her off sharply, eyes still on the intercom. "Where's this connected? Who's playing games with me?" No one answered. The staff looked at one another, unsure whether to intervene or run. Then, slowly, Joker walked toward the security office at the back, his shoes clicking against the marble floor like a ticking clock. Inside, rows of monitors flickered with footage from every corner of the dealership, and in the corner of one screen, the intercom line, there it was again, a faint voice, muffled but unmistakable. "Arthur, you promised you wouldn't hurt anyone anymore." His heart thudded once hard, his jaw clenched. "No, no, 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 this is not real." He grabbed the mic connected to the system and hissed, "Whoever you are, stop hiding behind her voice. You think this is funny?" Silence. Then laughter. But it wasn't his. It was softer, almost childlike. "Do you still hear me laughing, Arthur?" the voice whispered. "Like the day you lost everything." He slammed the mic down. "Enough!" The sound echoed through the security room. He leaned over the desk, breathing heavily, trying to steady the storm inside his chest. His reflection in the dark monitor stared back, a painted face cracking under the weight of something human. He remembered the night she died, his mother, the hospital bed, the white walls, the words she never said. "You'll be fine, Arthur. You just need to smile more." But that was years ago, before the clown was born, before he learned that pain makes a better teacher than love ever could. He turned away from the screens and muttered, "I buried you. I watched them lower you into the ground." Then, a sudden flash on the monitors. Camera 12, the basement, a door opening. Slowly. Joker froze. There was no basement, not in this building. The dealership had been rebuilt, modernized. He checked the blueprint files in the office weeks ago. No such floor existed. And yet, there it was. A door creaking open into a dark stairwell. The words, "Service Access B12" flickering above it. He grabbed his coat, muttering, "Let's see who wants to play ghost." As he descended the narrow stairs, the light grew dimmer. Each step echoed like footsteps inside his head. The air smelled of rust and rainwater. Somewhere below, a faint melody played, old, warped, the tune of a lullaby. When he reached the bottom, he found an old storage hall filled with broken desks, shattered signs, and scraps of the old dealership before its renovation. Dust danced in the flashlight beam, and there, in the center of the room, was a chair. A single wooden chair facing an old television set. The screen flickered on. Static, then. Her face. His mother. Pale, smiling, eyes soft and distant. "Arthur," she said, voice trembling with warmth, "you've come home." He took a slow step forward, his throat dry. "No, this isn't real. You're dead." "Death doesn't end things, sweetheart," she said. "It just changes the room." His fingers twitched, his eyes glistened. "What do you want from me?" She tilted her head. "I want you to stop pretending. You don't have to play the clown anymore. You can still be good." He let out a shaky laugh. "Good? You think good built this city? You think good fed me when they kicked me out? Good doesn't survive here, Mom. Monsters do." Her smile faded. "Then you've become one of them." The TV hissed, static crackling louder. For a second, her image distorted, then flickered into something else. Someone else. A man. Slick hair. Gold watch. Dalton. He was tied to a chair in a dimly lit room. His face was bruised. His voice was shaking. "Arthur, please. I didn't mean..." Joker's eyes widened. "What the hell?" Dalton looked straight into the camera, eyes filled with terror. "He's coming for you next." The screen cut to black. Joker stood frozen, the faint hum of the old television buzzing in his ears. Then, slowly, the lights in the basement began to shut off one by one until only the flicker of the screen remained. And from somewhere in the shadows behind him, a voice whispered, low, cold, and unfamiliar, "You thought you were the only one playing a game, Arthur, but someone else bought a piece of your empire, too." The flashlight slipped from his hand, rolling across the concrete. The light flickered over the walls, revealing a message written in crimson paint. "Smile, you're next." For a long moment, Joker didn't move. The faint buzz of the dying flashlight painted his grin in ghostly strokes across the wall. His heart hammered, not in fear, but in something worse. Recognition. He stared at the message. "Smile, you're next." The words dripped crimson, glistening under the flickering beam. Whoever had written it knew exactly how to get under his skin. He stepped closer, dragging his fingers across the wet paint. It wasn't fresh. No, this was done earlier, planned, meant for him. "Cute," he muttered, his voice a low rasp. A joke within a joke. Then he noticed something below the painted words. Faint initials carved into the wall. MK. He frowned. The letters were burned into his memory. Martin Kane. Once his best friend. Once his brother in laughter. Back when the world still found him worth saving. Kane had worked beside him at the dealership years ago. They'd both been fired in the same sweep, except Kane had taken a darker path. Rumor was he'd vanished after robbing a client and setting fire to one of the company's branches. Arthur had always suspected Kane was dead. Apparently, Gotham's graveyard still had open doors. He turned back toward the stairs. "Well, Marty boy, looks like you finally learned to leave a calling card." As he climbed up, the air grew heavier, colder. He reached the main floor, only to find the entire dealership shrouded in silence. The employees were gone. The lights dimmed. Even the city's noise outside seemed to hold its breath. On Dalton's old desk sat a single envelope, black, no name, no seal. Inside, a photo of Dalton tied to a chair, eyes wide with terror, and scrawled on the back in shaky handwriting, "He begged for his life. I told him you taught me how to smile." Joker froze, the photograph trembling slightly in his hand. For the first time in years, He felt a chill that wasn't caused by the rain. His laughter had always been his weapon. Now someone else was using it against him. He turned to the intercom. "Marty," he whispered, "if this is your idea of a reunion, you've got my attention." Static filled the speakers, then a faint voice answered. Rough, distorted, but familiar. "Ah, Arthur!" The prodigal clown returns to his circus, but this time you're not the ringmaster. Joker's grin sharpened. "You sound bitter. Still mad about getting fired?" The voice chuckled. "Fired? You really don't remember, do you? You didn't just survive, Arthur. You thrived. You used me as your ladder. Told them I stole money. Told them I was unstable. You burned me first." The words sliced through the air like a blade. Joker blinked. "That's not true," he murmured. "Oh, it is," the voice hissed. "You've always needed someone to play the villain so you could pretend to be the victim. Guess what, old friend? The joke's on you now." The intercom clicked off. Joker stood still, his mind a war zone. His memories, blurred, fogged by years of rage, flashed in fragments. He remembered the night of the layoffs, the shouting, the accusations. Kane crying in the break room, swearing he didn't do it. Arthur watching, silent, too afraid to speak the truth because it was easier to let someone else fall. He whispered to himself, "No, that wasn't me. That wasn't—" A sudden noise from the hallway cut through his thoughts. Footsteps, slow, approaching. He spun around, eyes narrowing. "Marty?" No answer. Then the lights flickered again, and there, reflected in the glass of the showroom, stood a figure, wearing a cheap clown mask, red smile painted across its mouth. Joker's pulse quickened. The mask tilted. The figure raised a hand, holding Dalton's gold watch. Before Joker could move, the figure dropped it on the floor and disappeared into the shadows. Joker picked up the watch. Blood smeared across the band. The second hand was stopped, frozen at 11:11. He whispered, "Make a wish." Then his grin slowly spread. "All right, Marty, let's finish the punchline." He stormed toward the security room, checking the live feeds again. One by one, the cameras blinked back to life. Every hallway, every office, empty, except for one. Camera 9, the service bay. On the screen, a man in a clown mask stood by a burning car. Flames licking at the hood, smoke filling the air. And behind him, a banner hanging from the ceiling. "Welcome home, Joker." Arthur's eyes widened as the man turned toward the camera, holding something up. A small device with a blinking red light. A detonator. Then the voice crackled through the speakers one last time. "Remember when you told me, Arthur, that laughter could light up the dark?" The man's thumb pressed the button. A blinding flash. The monitors exploded in sparks. The entire building shook, glass shattering, alarms screaming into the night. Joker hit the floor as the shock wave roared through the dealership. When the smoke cleared, the showroom was a graveyard of fire and glass. Joker dragged himself up, coughing, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. And through the flames he saw it, painted across the last standing wall, in black soot and blood. "You made me smile again," he laughed, not the wild, manic laugh that people feared, but something quieter, sadder. "Guess I taught you well, Marty." Then, as the fire raged behind him, a ringtone began to play from Dalton's shattered phone on the floor. A message notification blinked across the cracked screen. Unknown sender. "This isn't about revenge, Arthur. It's about truth. Come find me, where it all started." Smoke drifted from the ruins, like ghosts escaping their cages. Sirens howled in the distance, painting the night with red and blue light. But Joker stood still in the wreckage, staring at the cracked phone in his hand. "Come find me, where it all started." The words burned through his mind like a whisper from his conscience. He turned his head slowly, the reflection of fire dancing in his pale eyes. He knew exactly where that meant. The old warehouse district, the first place he'd ever worked. the same place he had buried his laughter and his guilt. He slipped the phone into his pocket, brushing ash off his coat, and began to walk. Each step echoed through the empty streets of Gotham like the ticking of a clock counting down to something inevitable. Rain began to fall again, hissing as it touched the flames behind him. The city lights blurred into reflections on wet asphalt, distorted, fractured, beautiful in their chaos, just like him. As he reached the old district, the memories came crawling back. The nights he and Martin Kane had spent fixing used cars, drinking cheap coffee, dreaming of owning their own lot someday. They had plans once, hope, and then came Dalton, and the company that promised security but demanded loyalty to lies. Arthur had wanted to keep his job. Martin had wanted justice. Only one of them survived the fallout. The warehouse stood at the edge of the river, its rusted gates half broken. A flickering light shone from inside. Joker pushed the door open, and the hinges screamed, echoing through the cavernous dark. Inside, candles lined the old concrete floor, casting long shadows across forgotten machinery, and there, sitting on a chair in the center, was Martin Kane, older, scarred, dressed in a tattered suit. His left eye burned with fury. The other was milky white, blind. A half-painted smile streaked across his face. "Welcome home, Arthur," Martin said, voice low and cracked. Joker took a step forward, his expression unreadable. "You really went through a lot of trouble for a reunion, Marty. Fire, theatrics, the whole show. I'm flattered." Martin laughed, a harsh, broken sound. "I learned from the best." He gestured to the burned side of his face. "You see what they did to me after you left? After you stayed quiet while they framed me? They needed someone to blame for their dirty money. You gave them their clown." Joker's jaw tightened. "I didn't tell them anything." Martin tilted his head. "You didn't stop them either. And that's worse." Silence filled the space, thick and heavy. The rain outside hit the metal roof like the ticking of guilt. Joker's voice softened. "You think I didn't pay? I lost everything too. My mind, my name. You think this smile came cheap?" Martin stood, limping closer. "No, Arthur. You turned your pain into a mask. I turned mine into a mission." He gestured to the walls around them, hundreds of photographs pinned up. Every executive, every corrupt manager from Gotham Premier Motors, all marked with red crosses except one, Joker's photo. Martin smiled faintly. "You're the last one. The final joke." Joker's eyes narrowed. "Then why call me here? Why not finish it?"
Martin stepped back, revealing a small device on the floor. Another detonator. "Because you deserve to see it. Every branch of that company burns tonight. All of them. Every crook who built their fortune on our blood. It's over, Arthur. But you'll die with them."
He pressed the button. Nothing happened. Martin frowned, pressing it again. Still nothing. Joker chuckled softly, pulling something from his coat, a handful of wires and a small battery pack. "You really think I'd walk into another man's joke without learning the trick first?" Martin's face fell. "You disabled it?" Joker nodded. "I'm not your villain anymore, Marty. I'm just your reflection." He tossed the wires aside. "You wanted justice. I wanted revenge. Neither of us got peace. So here we are, two clowns at the end of the show." Martin stared at him for a long moment, eyes glistening. "You still think this is a show, don't you?" Before Joker could respond, Martin reached behind him, pulling a revolver from his belt. "Then let's give the audience what they came for." He raised the gun. Joker didn't flinch. "You shoot me, and what then? You think Gotham will remember you? Number. They'll remember me. The freak, the joke, the monster. You'll just be another man who wanted to be funny." Martin's hand trembled. His breath hitched. "I don't want them to remember me. I just want you to remember what you did.
A single tear rolled down his cheek. Then he turned the gun toward his own head.
"Wait," Joker shouted, stepping forward. The gunshot shattered the silence. Martin's body crumpled to the floor, blood blooming across the concrete like a red smile. The candles flickered, some snuffed out by the shockwave. Joker stood frozen, staring down at him. The old friend who had once laughed with him. The only person who had truly known Arthur Leigh. He sank to his knees beside the body, whispering, "I never wanted this. I just wanted them to see." Then faintly he noticed something in Martin's hand. A folded note, stained with blood. He pulled it free and unfolded it. The handwriting was shaky, but clear. "The joke was never on you, Arthur. It was on all of us who believed the system could be fixed." Joker stared at the words until the ink blurred. Then he started to laugh, softly at first, then louder, until it echoed through the warehouse like madness made music. He looked at Martin's body one last time and whispered, "You were right. The system can't be fixed, but it can still burn." As he stood, the sound of approaching sirens grew louder. He walked toward the door, the candlelight painting his shadow long and monstrous on the wall. And just before he stepped into the rain, he lit a match and tossed it behind him. The warehouse ignited in a sea of orange. Flames swallowed the photographs, the candles, the guilt. From a distance, it looked like the whole river was on fire. And through the smoke, Joker's laughter carried, haunting, hollow, almost human. But when the firemen arrived hours later, they found no body inside. Only a single word scrawled in ash on the floor. SMILE.
If you felt that chill, that twist, that spark of darkness inside the Joker's world, then don't just scroll away.
Hit subscribe, join the Joker Stories family, and let's dive even deeper into more dark, emotional tales where every smile hides a scar.